Kondajji Lake is a deceptive mirror. By day, it reflects the sky in a perfect blue stillness, but by night,
it keeps secrets that no living soul should uncover. 6 of us, Prakash, Rai, Diwakar, Prem, Sunil,
and Nilakanta, along with our scoutmaster, Raju, arrived at this remote shore. We were there to complete our final camping requirement for the prestigious President's Scout Award. We pitched our tents on a small rise overlooking the water, feeling confident and loud in our youthful energy. Raju, sir, usually the life of the group, set a different mood this time.
He warned us to respect the silence of the woods, his voice uncharacteristically low.
The afternoon passed with the smell of wood smoke and the sound of laughter, but as the sun dipped below the horizon,
the atmosphere shifted. By 10 p.m., our fire had turned to gray ash, and the shadows began to stretch long across the camp.
The silence was absolute until Prem broke it, his voice trembling as he pointed toward the far bank.
There, standing motionless near the ancient trees, was a tall, pale figure. It looked like a pillar of salt against the darkness. Sunil immediately clicked his torch on, the beam cutting through the night. It swept across the dark bank, but it revealed only empty, jagged rocks. The figure was gone. We laughed nervously, trying to shake off the chill, but the air had turned biting cold, far beyond a normal night breeze. My heart hammered against my ribs. We tried to retreat to our tents, but the feeling of being watched was suffocating.
At exactly 12:17 a.m., a shrill, steady whistle pierced the dark. It was sharp and mechanical.
Yet it didn't sound like any scout whistle we had ever heard. We huddled together, eyes glued to the tent mesh, terrified of what lay beyond the thin fabric of our safety. A terrifying pattern emerged. Every time Sunil turned the torch off to save the battery, the figure reappeared by the shore, watching us with unseen eyes. When the torch clicked back on, the shore was empty. It was playing with us. Then, the sound changed. A wet, dragging noise began to approach from the darkness. Something heavy was moving through the mud,
coming closer to our circle of tents. Suddenly, something pressed against the canvas of our tent, pushing it inward with a slow, deliberate force. We screamed and bolted toward Raju Sir's tent for protection.
But when we tore open the flap, our blood ran cold. The tent was empty. His sleeping bag was laid out, untouched and freezing to the touch. He was gone.
We scrambled outside into the open air, our voices cracking as we screamed his name into the void of the forest.
The lake offered no answer, only the reflection of the stars in its black depths.
Across the lake, the figure appeared again, standing atop a massive boulder. We flashed the light. It vanished. From directly behind us, the whistle sounded again, 2 sharp, piercing notes that made our skin crawl.
We spun around in unison. Raju Sir was standing near the tree line, facing the water. But he wasn't himself. His eyes were wide, fixed, and a milky, dead white. His mouth hung slack as if his jaw had been unhinged. He slowly raised a trembling hand and pointed toward the lake.
Behind him, rising from the shadows of the trees, was a towering, spindly creature. It was a shimmering horror.
Its limbs long and thin, defying every law of human anatomy. It moved with a sickening,
fluid grace. We didn't wait. We ran. We sprinted through thorns that tore at our skin and over rocks that bruised our feet, driven by a primal terror until we reached the safety of the village.
A local shepherd found us, shivering and hysterical. After listening to our frantic account,
he spoke only one sentence that chilled us to the bone. The lake's keeper hungers. We sat in silence until dawn.
The shepherd's warning echoing in our minds. When the sun finally rose, we returned with a group of villagers, but the campsite was a graveyard of our belongings. Raju Sir was nowhere to be found. The only trace left was his metal whistle, half buried in the mud near the boulder.
Scratched into the ancient rock were the words, "Do not light the dark. What is seen is not to be seen."
Back in Bangalore, we found Raju Sir alive at his home. He looked at us with a blank, empty expression, claiming he had never even joined us for that camp. We never went back.
If you ever find yourself at Kondajji at night and hear a whistle, do not reach for your light. Some things are not meant to be seen.